but he'll do it for a full 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Because he wants to change the reality, everybody's perception of reality. And that's what he's trying to do.
I do want to add one thing to what you said about all the flattery, which obviously is true. There's a small group of people who add one other thing to that. Sometimes they don't even use the flattery, but whether they do or they don't, and many of them do. And I'm thinking of Netanyahu, among others, Putin also, is when they're in a position to do so, they also show that he can't control them. And then he absolutely doesn't know what to do. I mean, when Netanyahu went ahead and made further attacks after Trump declared that he wouldn't and couldn't, other than cursing on his way to the helicopter, he's just sort of turned the other way, basically. Zelensky, the same thing. They tried to embarrass Zelensky at the White House, and you have no cards and all the rest of it. And now they just don't even talk about him anymore, mostly. Right? So when people who are in a position to defy him do, and he realizes he can't do anything about it, he just moves on to something else.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. It's the Putin spank. It's like they do all the kiss up, and then every once in a while, they'll like give him a little spank, and he doesn't know what to do with it. But it makes him know that they know what his game is. No, you're absolutely right. I think that's a really important point. Anyway, thanks, Steve. Denise!
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I have two things that are interesting. They're interesting me today.
Okay.
A friend of mine sold everything, moved out of the country, and is now doing this service, this kind of training / consulting business around helping people leave the United States. And so they're doing a webinar tonight, and they had allocated for 300 seats, right? So they advertised, free webinar, come and learn about, how to leave the country and what that looks like. They had 1,100 people sign up. They had to go get additional licensure and whatever. And I've just kind of been sitting and thinking about that, of just like, what is the actual, as we're talking about like the permutations of all this, what's the actual impact, like the ways that we're actually changing, and how, feeling empowered to stand up, are people feeling hopeful, hopeless, and I'm going to choose, I watched the Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz interview, and also been watching a little bit of right-wing podcasts, specifically Podcast Bros, like the kind of manosphere stuff.
Yeah.
And they are losing faith in him. There is a pushback. There is a challenge, and there is a fracture that is happening. So I'm going to choose to see that as optimistic today. I'm going to choose to kind of see, like, it is starting to crack, and people are starting to say, like, wait a minute, the emperor has no clothes. And what I'm trying to do is not be frustrated of, like, why did it take you this long? I don't care how you get here, just get here. And just stay open to that. So those are two things on my mind today.
Denise, I have a question.
Yeah.
Did it indicate, like, how to leave the country, but was there any indication on where to leave, where to go?
Their focus is Mexico and Portugal and Costa Rica. Those are the three places that they specialize in, but they're literally like getting folks together and helping them. It's kind of bizarre because I've known them a long time, and the suddenness with which they got up and said, "I'm out," and people are like, we need a go bag in case we have to bug out. And I'm trying not to be like histrionic, but I am trying to also like listen and be attentive. And it's difficult. It's a weird spot to be in, to want desperately to fight for things to be better, but then kind of feeling like, is it smart to fight? And I never thought in my life I would ever be having these kinds of conversations, but they're kind of happening all around me. And
it's interesting. One of the things that's happening in Canada, and I don't know if Andrew, if you contribute or if you have any line of sight, is immigration in Canada, and quotas for people from the U.S. immigrating to Canada has increased, especially farm like workers and farm workers and so on. So that's one thing. Second, I was just this morning I was speaking to an accountant actually international who says that the immigration lawyers have never been busier in Canada ever before, and these are people coming from the U.S. So there's a lot. It'll be interesting to take a bigger view on it to see, wow, is this just a one-up example that's going on, with your folks, Denise, or is this happening everywhere? I'd be super curious about that.
Yeah, that's totally where I am. Like, how big is this? How bad is this? I think we're like overwhelmed with so much information, and so much of it is hyperbolic that it can feel kind of like amorphous. And it's interesting to see some people are taking this incredibly seriously, the risk of it, the challenge of it. And obviously I live in a state with a high Hispanic community, Texas, and it's really, people are really fearful. My friends are not traveling, leaving the country because they don't want to be hassled at the border, and it feels like that's not what's going on, is it? But it is. I have an agent, a speaking agent, that handles my keynotes, and they sent us all a note about being careful about booking travel if you're going to and from the United States. And I was like, what? And I want to say, no, it's not that bad, but you have to pay attention. You have to be alert of just kind of all the ways that confidence in the United States has been eroded. It's really...
Yeah, I have to say that, when we bought the apartment in Porto 2 years ago, I had put a notice out on Facebook and LinkedIn, and I got a whole slew. I got 500 people who said at one time or another that they were interested in how I did it and the possibility of them buying something in Portugal or in Porto. So I started a thing. I got together with my real estate agent, and we started a thing called Try It Out Porto, which was built around a 2-week tour, like property tour of Porto specifically, in the Porto area, to possibly buy an apartment, very similar to the way that we bought the apartment. And for those 2 weeks, you would stay at our apartment, and it would be a package, sort of you'd stay at our place for free, but you'd pay the service for that. And I tried it out. We did it this one time, and it actually was successful. But then I got busy doing other stuff, and I really haven't pursued it until now. Because all of a sudden, without me saying anything, I've been getting requests from some of those same people from 2 years ago that are saying, hey, are you still doing this thing? So no, there is a very much an increased interest into leaving the United States. And by the way, that's my little plug. If anybody is interested in moving to Portugal or to Porto, please contact me. Anyway, David, are you there? We're into the closing comments, pearls of wisdom. So David Garcia, go ahead.
Hey, man. Yeah, man. It's
Come to Portugal.
I'm ready.
Water's warm.
I'm Spanish heritage, so I've been in the north. You should try Oviedo if you haven't been.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, it's right up along that border.
No, I haven't, but I know it's pretty beautiful. I mean, it's a relatively small, it's the size of New Jersey, but there's a lot of stuff going on there, all the way from Porto down to Lisbon, down to the Algarve. They're all like different climates.
Yeah, they're as my cousin said to me, he goes, David, there's two Spains. There's the green and the brown.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the green. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think I've been trying to find out about travel as well with regard to how American citizens are potentially being roughed up as they come in and out of customs. Maybe we'll find a whole lot of information as to if there are stories of detentions, phones being taken, action for passcodes, whether or not you should take a burner phone if you travel, or delete all these apps. So it's unclear if American citizens are being harassed the same way as foreigners are trying to come here under visas and other travel arrangements. I do know that they're asking, they want to screen all your social media before they grant you a visa. I think that's been put in play by the State Department, which is a huge violation of anybody's rights that wants to come here and visit the country, attend a university, whatever the case may be. But yeah, I mean, it's to Denise's point. It's a little nerve wracking. I have friends that do live overseas as expats, and they're laughing. A lot of them are laughing at us, and I feel, I'm just like, not laughing at you. I mean, they're just like, I'm glad I'm not there. America's best days are behind it. Just a lot of that stuff. And but they do have to come back on occasion. I got a buddy that had to come back to get divorced. And I said, look, the longer you languish down there in Ecuador, married to the woman you don't want to be with, it's going to be a problem.
Let's watch.
You can't fully extricate yourself 100% all the way sometimes, but some people are doing it.
Yeah.
And if you
being an ocean away gives you, some comfort. I certainly feel more. It's strange to say that I feel more comfortable in a high security zone in West Africa than I do in the United States. So that must say something.
Yeah, and I mean, I was saying, and I mean that's chilling, to be honest, man. I mean, that's not.
Yeah.
That's very chilling, and you have to ask yourself, are we being paranoid, right? Are we being overly react?
I don't think we are.
Yeah.
I felt it last night. I mean, when I was watching this TV show, and they were showing masked. It was all about the president federalizing the National Guard. Now, it happened in a complete opposite way. It was like the good guys were doing it, but it was the same thing. And it was the same kind of thing where they were like picking up immigrants and throwing them into jail, and then trying to prevent them from doing that. And I was looking at this thing, and I was going, this was like 5 years ago, and it must have looked crazy 5 years ago. And today, it's like, this is exactly what's happening every day. It's a crazy thing. It's really. Oi, thanks, David.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right. If anybody else wants to come up for a last-minute closing comment, pearls of wisdom, we have a couple seats left, but let's get to David Jacobson. David, any closing comments, pearls of wisdom? David Jacobson.
No, I would.
Uh-oh. I think you're in the Matrix.
For guys, it's pretty cumbersome, so I got to the last thing and it's saying it's an invalid URL, probably because it's a live stream instead of a regular video.
Okay. Are you trying to check it out, what he's doing?
No. I'll be very explicit. I'm trying to report him for a privacy violation for against our consent. It's the best way to use YouTube to have him and his channel taken down.
So how do we do it? How did you do it?
I'm in the process of it. It's taken me like 10 minutes, and it's now rejecting the URL of the video because live streams have different. I've learned this by using the Google AI stuff, and some video URLs aren't accepted because they're live streamed. I don't know that for sure, but I have a pretty sure.
But I think on his YouTube, he actually saved some of them. He recorded them.
They look like 5-minute videos, and the whole format of this form that you get all the way down to the end of the Google, obviously it's the Google form, is related to what you're talking about in your specific reference, and he just made today's show private. So that made it more challenging, so I was talking, anyway.
Well, anyway,
how do you do that? How do you make a show private?
I looked him up.
I'm talking about YouTube, Ben.
Oh, YouTube. Okay.
Okay, Ben, I looked him up on Ballotopedia.
Yeah.
And he is running for Congress in 2026 as a Republican. And that's probably why he's collecting information from, liberal rooms, is because he's, putting a campaign together.
It's my understanding that he has a very sketchy background. That he's been in prison before.
Wow.
And I'm not sure what for. We should find out what he was in prison for. I think he's dangerous.
Open information.
Yeah. Good.
Breyer put in the chat to play live Disney music, and then we can give him a copyright strike.
That would do it. I don't know.
You'll laugh it off, man.
Yeah, I'm not laughing
You
it off.
need to know how to fight fire with fire in the digital realm.
I'm not sure exactly how to do this, but I do know that we have a lot of people here who know about him, and there's other people, and I think if we all get together, we can nip this in the bud. I want to see him on Clubhouse, but I want to see him on YouTube as well.
Hi guys, I just want to. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say I've been doing the exact same thing David's been doing since we started this morning. And I ran into the very same problem David did. I agree, we do need to put our smart minds together and find a way to take this person down.
Wow. Yep, I agree. As a matter of fact, I may at some point do a pop-up where we can all talk about just this until we can get this done. We got to figure this out. And at the very least, to get Clubhouse to take care of it. So first of all, I want to thank Jules, and there's a bunch of people that have been, sending me information. So anybody who has more information about it, either put it in the house room, or you can put it in the chat room, and we'll copy it and see what we can do to get rid of this jerk. Al, did you have something you want to talk about?
Yeah,
Closing comment, pros or wisdom?
I was just going to say that I already have reported it twice. And what happens is yesterday I ran into the private thing because he had realized it and made it private so it couldn't be reported, or they had responded to the first report by making it private. I'm not sure which way it goes. So I just went back to an earlier one because there are several of them, and just found one that wasn't private and reported that, and did it for copyright. And did it, now I've done it 4 times, I think, in all, because it's been going on for months. And, they say, of course, they're going to get back to you, but you never hear back again from YouTube when you do this, based on my experience. And what I asked was for his channel to be taken down, but I don't know that we have a way to do that. But, yeah, I think what happens is if he decided to make today's private, you can't report it, because you can't get inside of it. But there are many other ones that he's already done. You can go to any one of them and make the same report. So that's how I.
Well, look, we know who he is, and we know he's supposedly running for Congress. So you know what? We go to the Republican Party in Illinois and go to his district and start finding out more about him. And let's do something about this.
That's what I was going to suggest.
Yeah, I'm going to the Republican Party in Illinois, and I'm going direct. I'm going to use whatever I can to get this scumbag doxxed and out in the open so everybody knows who he is and what he is. So.
And now he knows exactly what your plan is. So
I know. That was my intention. My intention was to explain to him that what he's doing is not going to help him at all. He's going to get into trouble. Stephanie's coming. Stephanie, any closing comments, pearls of wisdom? Wait, Stephanie's not up here yet. Briar's up here. Briar, did you have any closing comment, pearls of wisdom?
Hey, y'all. No, I guess I'd just say, is my audio working? Hello?
There we go. Yeah, you're there.
Yeah, that was weird. I haven't had that glitch before. I was just gonna say, to the point about earlier, those being made about Trump and how he, people praise him and stuff. I mean, that's. I think there's a lot of critique I heard from different people. It's a game right now. The United States is still the largest economy, and we will be for another 10 or 15 years, probably, maybe a little more. And people are going to play this game. And I think, Denise was mentioning the cracks. I think what this war, attack, ceasefire, whatever we want to call it, it clearly didn't work. And it clearly wasn't effective. There's a lot of weirdness going on. We can get into the whole politics of Iran, Israel now, and this nuclear program. But I'm starting to be, I guess I haven't been optimistic in a while, but people like Theo Vaughn, Joe Rogan, and others really kind of seeing through it. And ironically, look, one of the most passionate defenses I've heard of anti-ICE sentiment came from Joe Rogan. I was very confused and surprised, and so I guess I'm with these little points of optimism. But to Steve's point, everything that's been going on in the Supreme Court has been terrifying me, especially this new ruling about allowing people to be deported to a country they haven't ever lived in, like to a detention center where they have no chance of freedom. That part to me is horrifying. And if you read Sonia Sotomayor's dissent and some of the others, when the Supreme Court members are expressing that they're quoting Steve, they've been listening to